On Thanksgiving, Mom said, "Don't bring your son. This year's just for real family." My brother added, "We don't want pity at the table." I didn't argue. I just disconnected every shared card and paused every transfer. Then I spent the day with my boy. At 6:42 a.m., Dad called from a frozen driveway. I let it ring. "Get out, Henry. You've ruined enough." Mom's voice cracked through the dining room, sharp as the knife she still held over the turkey. The room smelled of burnt gravy and cinnamon candles that couldn't hide the staleness of old fights. My brother, Cole, leaned back in his chair, chewing slow like he'd been waiting for this moment. "You always show up when things are calm," he said, smirking. "Then chaos walks in with you." Dad's glass hit the table, a dull thud that made everyone flinch. "Don't bring your son this year," he said. "Thanksgiving's for real family." The silence after that sentence was worse than shouting. Even the clock on the wall seemed to hesitate before ticking again. My hands were steady, though my heart wasn't. I stared at the mashed potatoes I'd brought, untouched. They'd rather starve on pride than eat something made by me. I stood, slipped my coat on, and whispered, "You'll get what you've asked for." Mom scoffed, "You always make yourself the victim." I smiled, small and tired. No, I just stopped pretending to be family. And then I walked out, leaving behind the noise, the eyes, the years. By the time the door clicked shut, I already knew. They'd never hear from me the same way again. Name's Henry Vale, 28 years old, the middle child, the quiet one, the fixer. Every family has someone who carries the weight. That was me. When Dad's car broke down, I paid. When Mom's credit card hit its limit, I cleared it. When Cole gambled away his savings, I bailed him out, twice. They called it helping family. I called it buying peace. I wasn't born rich, just responsible. I worked 2 jobs after college, skipped vacations, and sent money home like it was a habit I couldn't quit. Every month, the same lie replayed, "We'll pay you back when we can." I never asked for thanks, just respect. But respect never came. They liked me quiet, predictable, and useful. And when I stopped being useful, they stopped pretending to love me. But there's something they don't know. Something I've been. Keeping buried. Every payment, every transfer, every favor. I kept receipts, and not just the kind you print, the kind that prove truth. Because one day, silence was going to speak. And when it did, they'd finally listen. Mom, Lydia Vale, mid-50s, looks like kindness until you say no. Her guilt comes dressed as love. Dad, Warren Vale, once a banker, now just bitter. He wears disappointment like a suit. Brother, Cole, 31. The golden boy who never worked a full week but always had a new car. Sister, Sarah, 25. Cries on cue, avoids consequences. That night, they all sat around the table, pretending everything was fine. Cole broke the silence. "You still driving that old rust bucket, Henry? Guess being single and broke suits you." I didn't answer. Mom gave him a warning glance, not out of fairness, but out of fear the neighbors might hear. "Cole, stop it," she said softly. Dad grunted. "Let him speak for himself for once." Sarah rolled her eyes. "Can we just eat before it turns into another pity dinner?" I almost laughed. Another pity dinner. That's what they called the nights I brought food or paid for the groceries. But that night, there was something different in their tone. Not arrogance. Fear. They were hiding something, and it was starting to leak through every word they said. A week later, Dad called a family meeting. When I arrived, a folder sat on the table, my name on it. "You moved the trust funds," he said. "Why?" "Because they were in my name," I replied. Mom's eyes glistened with anger. "That money was supposed to help us." I raised an eyebrow. "Us? Or Cole's gambling debt?" Cole jumped up, chair scraping the floor. "Don't twist this, Henry. You're not a saint." "I don't need to be," I said quietly. "Just awake." Sarah sighed. "You think you're better than us because you have a stable job?" I leaned forward. "No. I just think I learned what family shouldn't cost." The air turned thick. like all the lies in the room were suffocating each other. Then Dad said it, low and venomous. "You'll regret this." But I saw it in his eyes. He already did. The messages started 3 days later. Cole, Mom's crying. "You happy now?" Dad, "We raised you better than this." Sarah, "You're cruel. He's sick, Henry." I didn't reply. Silence was the sharpest tool I had. Then came the knock. Mom stood there, eyes swollen, coat half-buttoned. "You know your father took a second mortgage because of you?" I stared at her. "For me? Or for the loan he lost?" She flinched. "You think you're innocent in all this?" "No," I said. "I'm just done being your safety net." Her lip trembled. "You'll understand when you have a family of your own." I looked her straight in the eyes. "I do have a family, Mom. My son. And you told me not to bring him." That silence between us was colder than November. Before she could speak again, I said the one line that finally made her step back. "I'm not innocent. I'm just finished paying for your mistakes." I was 19 when Dad called me downstairs. Cole had totaled his car again. The insurance wouldn't cover it, and Dad's record was already stained. He handed me a pen. "You've got the clean record. Sign the claim." Mom whispered, "Do it for family." Cole stood behind them, smelling like gasoline and guilt. I signed. 2 years later, the debt collectors came for me, not them. I still remember standing outside that night, watching rain fill the driveway. Mom said through the window, "You're strong. You'll handle it." That's when I realized, in this family, strength meant silence. And I'd been silent ever since. One night, I sat at my desk going through old statements. I wasn't looking for revenge, just closure. But what I found wasn't closure. It was crime. Mom had been rerouting payments. My name, my tax ID, my work bonuses, all tied to her family trust. They'd been claiming my payments as theirs for years. When I confronted her, she froze. "I did it to keep this family together," she whispered. "No," I said softly. "You did it because you knew I'd never check." Cole grabbed my phone, eyes wild. "You won't ruin us." "Too late," I said. "The truth's already out. IRS, bank, lawyer, all copied." The room fell dead silent. For the first time, I saw fear in my father's eyes. Not because of what I'd done, but because I finally stopped protecting them. Everything cracked open. Cole shouted. Sarah sobbed. Mom begged. Dad sat in stunned quiet. "You destroyed us," Dad whispered. "No," I said. "I just stopped being your bank." Mom reached for me. "You can't walk away from blood." I looked at her trembling hand, the same one that forged my name on forms I never saw. I already did. When I left, the wind was biting cold, but for the first time it didn't hurt. The house behind me looked smaller than I remembered, like it had shrunk under the weight of its own lies. I moved into a small apartment on the east side. Nothing fancy, just quiet. My son Ethan loved the balcony. Every evening, he'd point at the sky and tell me what the clouds looked like. One night, my phone buzzed. "Sarah? Henry? I'm sorry," she said, voice shaky. "I know," I said. "But sorry doesn't fix the years you watched." She started to cry. "You were always the good one." I smiled sadly. "No, Sarah. I was just the quiet one." When I hung up, I felt something strange. Not anger, not relief. Freedom. Silence finally meant peace. Months passed. I drove by the old house once. A for sale sign in the yard, curtains drawn. Mom moved in with her sister. Dad left town. Cole disappeared, owing too many people too much. I parked across the street with Ethan. He looked up at me. "Why don't we go inside, Dad?" I smiled. "Because we already left." That night, after he fell asleep, I wrote in my journal. "They broke the boy who wanted family, but they built the man who doesn't need their permission to exist. For the first time in my life, I slept without replaying their words. For the first time, the silence didn't scare me. It healed me. If you were in Henry's place, would you forgive, or would you walk away forever? Tell me in the comments. Your voice matters here. If Henry's story hit close to your heart, like, share, and subscribe for more stories about silence, family, and finding peace in letting go, because sometimes the quietest revenge is living free.